And now the moment you guys have been waiting for, I'm gonna turn it over to myself and talk about the real estate trends that are happening here in the Treasure Valley with actual, tangible, factual data. Hello everyone, let's talk about our changing housing market. So, as you guys have probably heard, a lot of the headlines happening right now in the real estate market are kind of going after doom and gloom, which isn't my favorite because, you know, I feel like the news and the media and everything that's being said in this industry is very, It's very like a pendulum where it's like, oh my gosh, there's no inventory. And suddenly there's so much more inventory. We don't know what to do. Like, that is not true. This is all cyclical. This is actually to be expected. And we've just been informing you guys through this entire thing so we can help our clients make the best decisions going forward. So here we are. Let's dive into the data. As you guys know, we were at historically low inventory at the beginning of the year. Again, this ducktailed into 2020 when, you know, we just had a lot of frenzy due to the pandemic. And now as we start to go towards the fall into the winter, we have a number of things that are shaking up. So as you can see from the data here, we're just going to start with Ada County. Again, low inventory. And then when we got to about May, we started to see the uptick of inventory actually happen. We went from going to 400 units, started to creep up. Now we're at 500, 600, 700, right? Fast forward all the way September, October, we're now sitting at over 1,000 units here in Ada County. And for Canyon County, we're hovering at, you know, half that number. So in total, we have a lot more inventory, which is also to be expected because, you know, when a market appreciates so fast that, you know, there's a threshold. There is a threshold of how fast the market can appreciate and how much buyers are going to want to buy. So it makes absolute sense as to where this is our inventory right now. And for our market, it's a good thing. A stable market is when there is 6 months of inventory. A balanced market is when there are 6 months of inventory that would be needed to sell out. So we're still under that threshold. And the more inventory we have, the better options there will be for buyers, but you'll have more of a normalized market. Therefore, if you are selling your house, you're getting a fair market value for your house. And in return, you're also buying at a fair market value. Whereas last year during the pandemic, it was appreciating so much that there are arguments to make that maybe you bought a little higher than what the true value is. Granted, that's just natural supply and demand. But also with the interest rates being a factor, this is where it's going to get very interesting. So right now we're hovering at more units than we did this time last year. Going on to, let me move myself. I'm going to move my face. Looking at the graph in data form, you can see that we've been having an uptick in inventory since, well, we called it in May, but, you know, we're seeing this uptick. Now we are going, as you can see, it's kind of like going downward. Historically, the end of fall and winter are just not ideal buying times here in the market. That's just due to seasonality. Seasonality is a massive, massive factor in selling homes. So we're going to start to see possibly maybe more of those actives go down this winter. But overall, the market for people trying to buy is going to stay stable. Now, one thing to be mentioned is that interest rates are already ticking up. The feds have said they're going to stop buying anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000 in mortgage-backed securities every month, which then will raise the rate up significantly over time. And we're starting to see that happen now. Now, with that, as the interest rate goes up, buying purchasing power goes down. So to make it very simply, I anticipate to see this actually start to plateau a lot more than it has. Like, it's been so drastic and volatile because massive appreciation. Now it feels like this automatic plummet of a slow up, but that's not it at all. It's actually the market just normalizing. So to set proper expectations for all of, see, same thing. It's starting to normalize there too. But to set proper expectations if you're selling in this market, selling in this market, pricing strategy that we had last year is not in effect right now. Product is sitting. We went from the average of 4 days on market to now over 17 in less than a month, it feels. So it was probably just a quarter actually, but in a very short amount of time, we went from 4 days on average to inventory to now homes sitting on the market. And what we're seeing is a lot of realtors and, okay, I take that back, not realtors because realtors don't print the house. It's sellers. Sellers make the decision. We're seeing a lot of sellers come to the market high. And we're starting to see these massive price drops at crazy times in a home sale cycle. Whereas, for my clients, I always recommend, hey, let's go to the market accurately so that way we know how to adjust. Because if we get the emotional buyer, then they're naturally going to come up. And if we have to make a price reduction, we're not making massive price reductions that make people go, what the hell is wrong with this house? But what we are seeing is due to this plateau that homes are coming on the market extremely high. And then we're seeing massive price reductions 5 days into the home being on market, which by any account, if you're on the buyer side, you're like, okay, what's wrong with this house? It's only been 5 days. Why is it already having a price reduction? So going into the market priced correctly, reflective of the market, is going to be the most important thing if you are looking to sell this winter in this market. It happens. Winter is always my personal favorite time to sell homes because the inventory is not as aggressive or not as abundant as it is in the spring historically. So you have an opportunity to stand out, but knowing and understanding the market is your biggest factor. Now, if you're on the buy side, seeing that there's more inventory, this is awesome. You have options, you have choice, whereas last year it was like, you either like it or you don't because we don't know what's coming to market. But to keep this in mind, going back to what I said about the feds no longer buying mortgage-backed securities in the quantity that they are now, it's one of those to where I just tell all my buyer clients that have been on the fence to buy because that rate is unpredictable. Yeah, it's nice. We've had historically low rates since 2008. So that window of opportunity of everything being nice and everything being stable, everything's cyclical. So with the feds doing that, anticipate rates to increase. Now, it's probably not going to spike 10% in a month, but I do see with the data and with what everything's happening with the Zillow iBuyer program that these rate increases are going to be felt. They are going to be felt and they're going to be drastically noticeable than they have been since 2008. So if you are on the fence, and again, this isn't just first-time home buyers. These are people, this is also for the person that, wants to upgrade their home. The market is really good right now and it's starting to stabilize, but things are also cyclical. So I also recommend like, hey, if you also want to keep your mortgage payment low on your brand new house, then you better sell and buy now because that rate is going to go up and that's just going to be extra payments that you're going to be making on a mortgage to your dream home that you didn't have to. So that's kind of that is what's happening in our market right now. Those are kind of my thoughts on, where to position. But again, every person's situation is different. So if you have any questions on this data, make sure to send me a message, just say data and send it to realestatewithtaz.com, taz@realestatewithtaz.com. But also if you want to have a idea of what your home's worth in a very moving market, then I'm happy to do a comp and give you realistic expectations on what to expect in this market so you can have the best long-term success when you sell your home and buy into another one. That it could be your forever home, it could be a temporary home, whatever it is. The biggest part of this real estate market that I would want to stress is that it is fluid, it is changing, and in order to be successful, you also have to have those expectations set with those changes. And that's what we do at Real Estate with Taz, and we are here to help anyone who is in line with that. Like, we really like to make sure that we set proper expectations because we've just been on the other side of things where those expectations were met. So that's something we absolutely do stress here for our clients. So we want to make sure we give that to you. So hope this market data has been helpful. It is exciting to see how much it has changed since we started doing this in May. But yeah, we have been on top of it for you guys, and I hope that you guys find this educational. So with that said, it's Taz. from Real Estate with Daz, and I will catch you on the next one.